For a while, I thought I had found the cheat code for my hair. I started carefully, minoxidil and a very small amount of finasteride. I even cut the pill because I wanted the minimum dose possible. And somehow it worked. These were my finasteride results, visible growth on a very small dose. My hair came back. Eventually, I was taking finasteride only occasionally, sometimes once a week, sometimes leaving several nights between it, and it still seemed to hold. But I never felt it was thriving. I felt I was slowing down something that was still moving in one direction. Then, a few months after this photograph, something happened that I had never connected with my hair before, and almost all of it went. When I first started dealing with hair loss, I followed the conventional path. I used minoxidil, then I added finasteride, but I was careful. I did not want to jump into a full routine and just hope for the best. That is not really how I do things. I start small, see what happens, then adjust. So I used a pill cutter and started with the lowest amount I could manage. At first, I did not see much happening, so gradually I increased it. I watched for the side effects everybody talks about: sexual function, mood, whether I felt different. For me, that did not happen. My sexual function was normal. I had some mild stomach discomfort at the start, but nothing dramatic. Then the hair responded. I seemed to have this golden touch. I could use very little and still see growth. Later, I reduced the frequency so much that sometimes it was once a week or several nights apart, and the hair still seemed to maintain. On paper, that sounds like I solved it. And I want to be honest, the medication worked for me. I am not rewriting that part just because of what I believe now. But when I looked closely, it felt like maintenance. I was holding the line, not changing the direction. Then we fast forward to November 2024. My hair was still there. I thought I understood the situation. A few months later, I almost did not recognize it. At that time, I was carrying a lot of chronic stress. I used to work in corporate America. I hold my standards high and work hard to prove myself. And somewhere along the way, I developed this habit of grinding my teeth at night. Not a little. I was putting so much pressure into it that eventually one of my teeth cracked and the nerve was exposed. For about 3 hours, I went through this excruciating pain, the kind where you cannot think about anything else. My whole body felt inflamed and out of control. Then, within days, my hair started shedding like crazy. This is what it looked like after the November photograph. In my case, I believe the cracked tooth, severe inflammation, and accumulated stress triggered this shed. The timing and the physical reaction were clear to me. What this exposed was something bigger. Medication had helped the visible symptom, but the underlying system was still fragile. I had maintained the hair well, yet one major inflammatory event seemed capable of knocking the whole thing over. Every morning I looked in the mirror and watched it get thinner. The front looked almost gone. I thought I was going bald very quickly, and honestly I was embarrassed. Hair sounds like a small thing until it changes how you see yourself. I lost my confidence. I felt that the one-way train had left the station and there was no going back. My first reaction was predictable: increase the finasteride and try to get control again. So that is what I did. A year later, my wife and I were trying to have a baby. After a few months, nothing was happening. She even asked me if I was still taking the pill. I cannot say finasteride caused that, but suddenly this was not only a hair decision anymore. At first, I stopped finasteride for a few months. We still did not conceive. I read different reports and found different opinions. Eventually, the decision became simple. I did not want any optional medicine in the equation while trying to have children, so I stopped. Stopping finasteride was my line, but I also did not want the only two choices to be medication forever or quickly go bald. So I asked a different question. What else could be contributing? DHT still mattered. Medication had worked for me, but I wanted to investigate other levers that might matter alongside medication or without it.